I'm Mabel, and I just spoke my truth on Afrobeats Intelligence.
Afrobeats Intelligence podcast.
Afrobeats Intelligence, democratizing African music.
With the way people, and what you've said brings me to a very what it has been to aspire to be global in this market. So for a long time, when we got Afrobeats to the world, we had everybody trying to get in Hot 100, the Billboard Hot 100.
Yeah.
That represented the apex of achievement.
Yeah, of achievement and success, right?
Yeah, in the space. It's the same in the UK, right?
Oh yeah, I remember I had a song that hit the Billboard Hot 100, and I was just like, that's it. I was like, this is it. It's amazing. And then you actually realize that like, it's not everything. It doesn't actually change anything. What really matters is like whether you can, I think, have like a real fan base and connect with people and have longevity in your career. Like that's actually not gonna mean that in 10 years you're still able to do what you love. You know, like it can be fleeting. It can, as quickly as those moments come, they can disappear. And I've had that, and it's horrible. You feel like,
how is it horrible?
Like
I thought you would be on top of the world.
No, when it comes, it's great, but as quickly as it comes, it goes, and then you're chasing this thing which like could happen, but it could also never happen again.
True.
So, but when you're like used to it, and then you feel like the rug's been pulled from under you, and then you're constantly trying to chase this thing, which I've definitely realized, like, yeah, I think it's a combination of stuff. It's like things falling into place. A lot of it is timing, depending on like where the world's at, and hard work. But like, it's a very hard thing to engineer.
Yeah.
You're either going to have a moment with a song, or if you're lucky, an album or more than one album, or like you just make music and enjoy, and if it happens, it happens, and if it doesn't, then it doesn't. But it's really hard, I think, when you've had a taste of it.
Yeah, it is. I think that's also one of the things that's disturbing, not disturbing in a sense, but that's one of the things that keeps like poking this culture. Because we had a moment where we did get into the Hot 100 regularly. So you could have songs from Burna Boy, from Wizkid, from Omale. And now recently, the last one we had was Rema. With Selena Gomez, Calm Down. Yeah. And that happened. And this year, that hasn't really happened for this culture. We haven't had the Hot 100 from Nigeria. And everyone's panicking. Like, hey, we need to get back there. That's what validates everything we do.
It's interesting, isn't it? Yes, First of all, panic is the worst emotion. It's good for nothing.
Have you ever felt it in your work?
Panic, oh my God, all the day, all the time, every day. Panic's useless and just makes you make bad decisions, first of all. Do you know what I mean? If you're panicking trying to make music, like, I've got to get this and I've got to do that, like, it's just not a good idea. Like, you have to let, like, this lead. And, yeah. So that's, first of all, terrible. And second of all, why? Why do we all, like, because I know how I would feel if somebody told me, oh, you've got I'm not saying I don't care. I would be lying if I said that. Like, if somebody told me now or tomorrow, like, you're in the Hot 100, I'd be gassed.
Yeah.
Like, of course.
Of course.
But we have to find some way as creatives to not let it eat us up and be the reason that we're making decisions. Because I think that's what happened with my thing, is we saw something that worked, and then that was the reason that decisions were made, when actually I think, like, people want to connect with you and they want authenticity. The only person that can drive this is me.
Yeah.
Like, it's not possible for people to be sitting engineering and making plans, and it's not going to work. I think especially now, where like people want to see you from every angle.
Yeah.
They can tell when something's fake.
True.
And so I think like the only way, ironically, to maybe get back in the Hot 100 is by letting it go.
That's ironic, isn't it?
I know, it's weird, but that's how I get myself through a day in the industry, is that I'm just like all these things and have to do this and have to do that, and I'm like, do you know what? If I feel I can do it, I'll give my 100. My 100 today, maybe less than my 100 yesterday or vice versa. But nobody can tell me what the plan is that's going to work because they don't know. Nobody knows.
Yeah, nobody knows.
Nobody knows. So like we might as well just have fun whilst we're doing it.
Yeah, but somehow this thing has to be justified. You know, there are P&L shits. For those who don't know what P&L shits in music, it's profit and loss shit. It's definitely how you gauge when you do the numbers, how you gauge if an artist will be successful or not. So that's the sheet that has that, the numbers, what goes in, what goes out, all of that. That's what the P&L is. And if you're working in an industry like the music industry, where everything is subjective, you're chasing a spark and magic. You're chasing that sweet spot where artistry meets connectivity.
100%. Yeah, that's the key.
Yeah, that's what it is. But to make that happen, the industry or the people, the professionals who work in the industry would say, hey, you need to do A, B, C, D, E, F. And like you have said, nobody knows what it is. Then why do we need to do all these other things when nobody knows?
When nobody knows.
Yeah.
So I'm 10 years in and I'm like, well, actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be in the studio today because actually what I could make today, just a little snippet on TikTok, could be way more valuable than this long plan that you have. And just going and meeting people and connecting with them and vibing is going to get you so much further than these like insane, like I remember when I first started, it was always 8-week plans. Yeah. It was always the 8-week plan. Yeah. And I'm like,
did you always stick to it?
I did everything that I was told. I was also 18 years old when I started. Yeah. So you look up to people and think that they have all the answers. So yeah, always. I did literally everything that I was told to do.
And always. What did you learn doing that?
Oh my God, so many things. I learned that hard work, obviously, like all the things that I'm saying about, letting go of the validation doesn't mean that you should ever lose your hunger or the chase. Mm-hmm. But like I think I had 4 days off in 2019.
4 days?
Like in total.
4 days?
I took 4 days off. Yeah, that was it. And
that must have been hard.
Yeah, it was really hard, but it taught me a lot about first how far you can push your body with your mind.
True.
Just by being like, I'm good, I've got this. And then I also learned the flip side of that, which is it's also not sustainable for your long-term health.
True.
At all, which is why now my favorite word is no.
And that's a complete sentence.
But I did learn a lot. Like I know I always say it's like on like a slot machine, when you see like the numbers start lining up.
Yeah.
Like when that moment happens, I can switch into gear like crazy. I can work so hard. And I say this and I'll say it with my chest that like there were so many people that I came up with that were way more talented than me. But none of them, like they weren't working as hard as me. They weren't working the hours. They weren't doing the hours that I was doing.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of myself for that. Like I did it, but there's no way that anybody should do that.
Yeah.
Really. Like I got to the end of that year and I was just like empty.
You were done.
I was done and it wasn't fun anymore. So I think one of the things I took away from that is that you can be standing there winning awards and be performing with on these amazing lineups and stuff, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to make you happy, which I think people always say, but like I really learned that. I remember I went on holiday at the end of that year.
Yeah.
I took my auntie to the Maldives actually.
Oh, nice.
Because I was like, it's one of those places that like I'd always wanted to see. So we went for like New Year's, I think. And I remember sitting there and just being like, I have like, because I'm not working, I have no life.
Yeah.
Like I am the artist all the time.
Yeah.
And just being like, well, it hasn't necessarily made me like less insecure, or if anything, it's amplified that.
Yeah.
Which is why I always say to young artists, I'm like, all of these things that you think about yourself are only going to get worse. So like, you have to find a way, like a routine, find strength in other ways.
Yeah, but that can be hard because the nature of, I work with artists all the time. sometimes it's via the media, like I'm doing now. A lot of the time it's via making music, A&Ring, working on plans, just consulting across board. And one conflict point that keeps getting in, especially with younger artists, is a lot of people, apart from the fact that they don't know how to switch off, the point is your humanity is tied to your hustle.
True.
So in other businesses, if I say, hey, I'm a journalist, I make podcasts, I write, all of that stuff. I can, when I'm not making podcasts.
Yeah, you're off.
I am a different person. I'm off the clock. Yeah. I can sit on pavements, smoke and drink.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah, cut adrift of it all.
And yeah, it's so true. And you don't really.
Yeah, I can choose to not be Joey Akan in that time. But with artists, your work.
See, this is one of my other lessons, is that I don't have to be. I love making music.
Yeah.
I love what I do. I'm so blessed. I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. So that feeling of when you make a song and you love it, that adrenaline, that high is I'll chase that for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Standing on stage, having a great show, playing energy ping pong with the crowd.
Yeah. Going back and forth.
Honestly, there is no feeling like it in the whole world. But then a lot of complicated things have come with my job as well. And so for my own sanity, honestly, I had to figure out a way. As much as I love what I do and I care about it so much, and I honestly torture myself with how much I care about it, and I really try to just not let it be the be all and end all of my happiness.
Yeah.
So for me, it was about finding things outside of music.
What did you find?
An amazing partner. We're getting married. So yeah. The first healthy relationship I've had ever, really.
Yeah.
A lot of time outside, that's been important for me.
In the sun?
No, do you know what? I ride horses. Yeah, I ride horses.
It gives you a high?
Yeah, it's just do you know what? For me, it was because my hobby became my job. I was let me get new hobbies, so that it's not just all the time. What else do I do? I caught up on every TV show that I'd missed since I was 18, basically.
So you had to go through.
I just watched everything, and still I'm I still think it's one of my favorites, just to switch the brain off a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not the healthiest thing, but I'm also it could be worse. And for me, I'm that's how I switch off. Family, I got really close to my family because there was years when I hardly saw them because I was always working.
Yeah.
I don't have a large group of friends. In fact, it's very small.
Yeah, of course, it has to be small.
But I would say I have great friends, and I've nurtured those relationships. And I would like to say I think I'm a good friend, but I worked on that because I wasn't always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing with music, is how much of a humanity. So music is different from other jobs, apart from the fact that you can switch a lot of others off. You have you're more regulated with music. It's a bit every time you have to create, every time you have to be an artist, which is all the time for a lot of people.
No, it is all the time. I'm just working on this, trying to leave the artist me at the door. I think it is something I'm working on, but it essentially is all the time. There's always something.
I get, but the part is you have to constantly pour your essence into the work. It's not a job that you can half-ass.
No, you can't.
And even if you do, it shows.
That's the problem, I think, is that finding that balance is tough. I don't think it's impossible though. I'm working on it because I'm so wait, does it have to be the way that it was before?
Not sure.
Is that what I need to do to is that it? But then I'm also like, I also know people that make music and are very strict about their personal lives. And yeah, they maybe have a different type of career to what I had before, but I'm like, you definitely seem happier than what I was.
Yeah, true. And were you comfortable with yourself when you decided to focus on yourself?
No, definitely not, because I'd been in my 20s and had people looking at me whilst I was trying to figure stuff out, and then you get bad comments. And no, I totally lost my way for a second, especially even with my music making process. I'm still in the process of figuring that out, like how I was making music when nobody cared about who I was or what I was doing. It was like the purest process ever, which is the reason why then I ended up getting to where I got to, but somewhere that gets lost. And so now I'm really trying to figure that out. I think for me, the key is like small groups of people, like how I am with my friends, where you just feel free, where like there's no, like you can experiment with anything. You can, and I've come a long way in the last 2 years. Like I've made some amazing music, some songs that like I feel like are closer to like that, the essence of who I am. Yeah. I think the problem is that for so long I didn't know who that was. So how was I supposed to do that musically? Like how are people supposed to expect me to just go and deliver this amazing thing? Especially because I'm an album person as well. Yeah. I never want to put out a body of work that doesn't tell a story. Yeah. I'm never going to just throw songs onto a record.
True. And I do understand this, and I'm trying to really make a grasp. So when you decided to, and I know I'm focusing on this because we have a lot of people in this space. When you interact with a lot of artists, especially when the cameras aren't working, they don't like themselves. A lot of people aren't comfortable in their skin. And when you take them away from this, the world's consideration of them, and then you isolate them and say, who are you? It's hard.
It's really hard. I think most people would struggle to say who they are. I would definitely say that it is more difficult when you have people watching you. I feel like now I have a good,
Didn't you feel bad? Didn't you feel guilt choosing yourself?
No.
At all? Not at all?
Like not in the slightest. And I still don't. I'm like, no, not at all. Because I'm like, for me to be able to do what it is that people want me to do, whether that be people that I work with or my team or, you know, the group of fans that I do have, I'm like, I'm useless to everyone if I'm not comfortable. Yeah. I think comfortable is like the thing. And then I think like not everything has to be fun all the time. Like, you know, it's still a grind. Yeah, it is. I still have that. It's still a hustle. It's not that. But it shouldn't be painful. Yeah.
True. That's it. And in what way does the music change when you, or rather, what was different from when you had that initial spark, when you were wide-eyed before the world came, and when it became a chore? What was different in how you expressed yourself?
I guess because there wasn't so many cooks in the kitchen, and there wasn't coming up with a marketing plan, and because nobody should talk about themselves that much. It's going to make anyone unhealthy. Like having people talk about you in front of you all the time and just talking about your image, and it's weird. It's a weird concept. It's kind of messed up. Yeah. It's going to make anyone think about what they do too much, which is why I think most artists are crazy. Because I'm just we spend too much time focused on ourselves when it's such a small part of the world. Yeah. I'm
just happy because you're validating a few things in my head.
Really? Yes. No, it's true though. It's not natural. Nobody should be talking about themselves or thinking about the angles that they like. I'm just no, which is actually why I think some distance is good. I have a great team, and so what my job should be is obviously turning up and grinding and doing things outside of just making music. But my main job is to be able to tune out the noise enough where I can get that core essence, a song that just feels like me, that is has something that other songs don't have.
True.
Because that's what a magical song is, I think. Like, you know, when you just like, you want to like live inside a song, I always think that what that is like a frequency that could only come from that person. Yeah. And that's because they must have just been inside themselves in a different way. Yeah. But you can't do that when there's loads of noise going on, and you can't be talking about the pictures and the outfits. And that's why now people sometimes are just like, what? It's not that I don't care. It's that I know that I care too much. Yeah. And it takes away then from what it is that I need to be doing, which is trying to be so zen and cool with myself that when I go into the studio to make something, there's none of those negative voices are with me. I can actually leave them outside the room, because that's tough. Yeah,
it is. And with the voices, so you do a job that is highly subjective. Extremely subjective. That is the very nature of it. It gives itself to subjectivity. And as a creative, when you started out trying to express yourself, and at some point when it became bigger, I like to use the word impose, but you decided to impose your creative will on the world. Yeah, that's what it is. Along the line, it became a business. Lots of people, their strategy now, they're rolling their plans now, 8-week plans, and now it's different. But how do you then balance the fact that you have to express? How do you then balance that with the subjective requirements from all the people who consume your work?
I'm still figuring that out. Right now, I've been really focused on making sure that I can deliver music. So I've been making a lot more music and enjoying the process a lot more, and just been trying to put the puzzle pieces together. The people that in the room make me feel like I can be myself, where I'm not trying to, and those people, I hold them very, very, very dear to me. I think it's about having the time to do that. So that's what I've been mainly focused on. And then the other stuff in terms of the requirements and that comes down to team, because I can't do it alone.
True.
That comes down to having people that you really, 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 really trust, to help you make some of those, just sort of help you pull the weight, and also help you make some of the decisions. So not everything is coming to me whilst I'm in the studio. I have a rule now. I'm like, I can't answer your work things whilst I'm in the studio.
At work, you can't answer work.
I can't answer questions about interviews or shows, anything that doesn't have something to do with me being in the studio. When I'm in the studio, I'm gone from 1 until 6.
Your phone's on do not disturb.
Yeah, literally. I'm like, figure it out. But I trust my team enough to know that the world's gonna keep turning. Yeah. Everything's gonna be okay. But I think a lot of that is team and family, and just like having people that you can really rely on, to know how, like, okay, I'm not in this room with you right now, but that I trust 100% to represent me when I'm not there.
I get you. And
that's tough.
It is. It is. I struggle with that too myself. So for a long time, I was alone doing this. So I've been a journalist for 10 years. And I started off as a writer. I'm still a writer. But over time, I trusted myself because I lived in my head all the time. And I knew what I wanted to see.
I know. It's really tough to hand that over to other people.
Yes. And then you give it to people. And I've had situations where, even whilst growing, at different points in time, I've had situations where I have, delegated that to people. Hey, put the structure to this. I just want to create like a beast. Put the structure to this. This is this. And what comes out in the end
isn't the same.
It isn't the same. How people are, even down to things like how you want, let's say, the intro to a new show to sound.
No, but I think it's not about like handing over everything. Like, say for example, like a good example for me is I'm really, really, really hands-on with my music videos, right? And so when what I'll normally do is like with the director, I'll be like, okay, you put together an edit that you enjoy, and then I'll come when there's already like a shell.
Yeah.
And even though I probably changed a lot of it, there's still just like certain things that like you're not gonna have to, certain things where I'm like, okay, well, actually, do you know what? Let me not be so controlling.
Yeah.
Why do you like that shot? Okay, cool. Let me think about it. Let me ask some people that I trust. Like, because even though it's important for me to be driving my ship, I also, I don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
You know, my partner and I, we have ended up kind of working quite a lot together, and which is interesting. My parents have been married 35 years and done all their work together.
Shout out to them.
Yeah, I know. Shout outs to them. It's a really complicated thing to balance. But honestly, I thank God every day, because that is so valuable to have a person that you trust that much to say, okay, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. But also you understand what I do.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't I let you help? You know me at my like rawest. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My parents have had all their success off the back of working together, as did my grandparents. We're 3 generations now of working couples. Yeah.
3 generations.
Yeah. So weird. My grandparents also had all their success together. Yeah.
Oh. It's the same with me here.
I was seeing that. I thought it was really special. I love watching a work environment in a home and watching life and art coincide.
Come together. Well, it's not always easy.
It's not. It's really tough.
Because we started working earlier this year. I'm a partner in NECA. We started working out. We met last year. And for a long time, it was, the sweetness of romance.
Of course.
And it was beautiful. Oh, my God. But then earlier, at some point this year, we decided, or she saw the lapses in my business. And then she's like, hey, this is wrong. I have time to allocate to this. Let me work with you. It took me like a month going through it. I'm like, I want to go out. And, sometimes you go out and you are the hero. You have a great day. Everything works. And then sometimes you go out and, when I mean go out, I mean on your work day.
Yeah, of course.
And you go out and everything just cascades into this chaos.
Yeah.
And when you return home, you still want to be the hero.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, to the person you love and that loves you.
Yeah.
But with this one, there's no space to hide.
No, I know. But I think that's really beautiful. It's tough. And I think it takes, it's not for everyone.
And how do you deal with conflict in that situation, knowing that two sides of your lives are intertwined?
We're both so honest about like that. Do you know what? It was actually more, there was more conflict. I found it harder because he works in music as well, and I work in music, but he works in A&R and consulting and behind the scenes. And it was actually it was the elephant in the room, the elephant in the bed. When you are not the elephant in the bed. When he had opinions about the way that things were running and the gaps or ideas, and then maybe was like, well, no, I'm not going to get involved because actually our thing's over here and this is, your work, and then this is our relationship that actually like, I was like, well, why didn't you just tell me? Help me then. But I think, I don't know. For me, it's normal because I've watched my parents do it 35 years. And
that's such a great example.
Yeah. And my grandparents, they did it as well. So for me, it's totally normal. But I think it's something that for all relationships, aren't you just working on them forever? Isn't that just...
Yeah.
Isn't that just life?
I'm going to take this very personally.
Okay, good. I like that.
Yeah, because... And I'm being very vulnerable here, because half the time when these things happen, and then I try to confide in my friends, and they're like, oh my God, you have a very peculiar situation that we don't understand. It's not normal to do that here.
I know. People honestly think that, but I don't know. I also think like, that's fine. Like, let them think that, but also it can build an incredibly strong foundation for something really special, and especially like having drive together. And like, I like that he knows what's going on in my world and I know exactly what's going on. We're doing things together, and like even being here, like he's been working on some stuff with me, and then he's been doing stuff for him, but like I feel like where the things intertwine, I feel like there's us in the middle.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I get you.
It's good. It's a good feeling, but definitely I understand it would be strange to people.
You're in Nigeria.
Yes. Yeah.
What do you love the most about being here in Lagos?
I've said it, so I say it all the time, but my genuine answer is just like, I love the pace and like the rhythm. I feel like there's like a sound there's like a rhythm to the city that you feel when you land. Like I couldn't tell you exactly what it is, but
There is?
there's like a tempo to it that I enjoy. It's quite fast paced. I feel like people are very straight to the point. You know how they feel about you quite quickly. It's not
True.
like, going to LA and everybody will be like, oh my God, and actually they actually might hate you. I feel like I enjoy the hustle here. Like when I first started making music here,
Yeah.
I remember being like, after we'd finished the song, like, should we go for some food or should we like go and get a drink? And I was working with Magic Sticks and he was like, I'm going to prepare beats for tomorrow. And I was like, actually, yes, you should. But just that, like, we can just keep, like, we'll just keep going. We could do 5 songs in a day and he'll be there with me on that journey with me. And I think that, yeah, because just the tempo and the way that things are here, it's given like a hustle and a flavor to the music that I really enjoy.
Yes, it does. I've spent time away from Lagos when I'm out of the country, when I'm in other cities. I remember in 2021, I decided to move to Abuja for 6 months.
Yeah.
So while I flew into Lagos to do all of my work, but when I was done, like I could fly in the morning, by the last flight in the evening,
Right.
I'm back home in Abuja. And I stayed there for 6 months and I missed it here.
Yeah.
Everything felt so, not to be derogatory, but like pedestrian.
I know what you mean. I don't know. I think it's one of the only cities in the world where like I can do exactly what I do. In fact, my work rate might increase, but I don't have to be in London. Other places, it's like when I travel, it's a little bit techie. It's only really like London, LA, and then here.
Yeah.
Like out of all the places and out of, I definitely don't want to live in LA. Here, I just really enjoy it. And I don't think I was expecting to necessarily, just because I knew that it was going to be intense, and I'm quite sensitive.
Yeah.
I'm tough, but I'm also sensitive.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe it's like going to be too much, but I love it. I love like the chaotic nature of it. My family is chaos. That's how I grew up. So to me, I'm just like, I love it. I love that like there is organized chaos. Do you know what I mean? There's there's beauty in the chaos, and there's order somewhere in there.
The entropy, it sort of like provides order at some point. I
just love watching things here and being like, so why is that like that? And then just being like, okay, well, it's just the way that it works.
I heard you ordering suya.
Yes, we're getting suya after this.
Why suya?
I love suya. Why not suya? Why
everywhere
why are you
else
being a hater?
No, I'm not hating on my people. I'm very happy that something we take for granted. So you know how something is a part of you so much.
Oh, right, that you don't realize how blessed you are. Or
it becomes furniture.
It becomes normal.
Yeah.
No. So I think about it when I'm at home. And then I'm like, there's some Nigerian restaurants in London, but that's like, first of all, none of it tastes the same.
Yeah.
But the suya in particular, you actually, in my opinion, you can't get in London.
How long have you been here? How long have you been coming to Lagos?
So to Lagos, I guess this is my 3rd year.
Okay.
Because my partner is half Nigerian. His mum's.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so that basically that, I'm trying to think what year it was. Must have been 2020. I don't know. But we did a Christmas here.
Yeah.
And then after that is when I was like, okay, I enjoy being there. Just being kind of sick of, as we spoke about before, like the rules and the formula of who you work with and how you work. I was like, I really feel like, I mean, some of the biggest artists in the world are from here. So I was like, I can go out there and work and be in a place that's just remove myself from my everyday, but still get work done and see family because his family's here. And it's been so great, yeah.
And how working here, how is working in Lagos different from London? In what ways?
Good question. I think things happen the way that they happen here. I think in London, like, everybody tries to control things more. I feel like here there's like an ease with, like, I remember working with Magix for the first time, and like the room we were supposed to work in, it just wasn't like working. And so we ended up working in this other little tiny room that then we became obsessed with, because that day we wrote a song that was like really special. And so even though when they fixed the other room, he was like, no, but he was like, it's not broken. He was like, we're going to work in this room now, in this tiny little room.
Yeah.
And
that's where the sauce is.
Yeah, he was like, this is it. This is the sauce. And I was like, I hear it. And even like, because he comes to London and we work together there, and we make great music there too. But there's just something about like what we make when I'm here, when we're both here.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is. But again, I think like the reason why I do what I do is because so much of it is the closest thing to magic.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's just a frequency. Like some days you'll write an amazing song, then for 2 weeks maybe you can't even think of a sentence and like can't be controlled. But I feel like there's like a sick attitude to that. Plus it's like the creativity and like life, I like how that happens at the same time. So like you'll be in the studio and then everybody's like, let's go out and then listen to music there. And the first time I went out here, I remember just like the whole time I was just on Shazam, like, what is this song? Because the songs take so long to reach the UK, right?
True.
So a whole club can be going off here. They'll be singing every song and I'm like, why? Like, I haven't heard this yet.
Yeah.
Like I've never heard this song.
Yeah, it does.
Which is just inspiring as well. I think just getting out of your normal creative zone and being like, just experiencing something else for me, like unlocked a piece.
That happens to you when you leave home?
I think so. I work at home. Don't get me wrong. My studio's at home. And that's really important too. I work with like open doors and just like love just being having my home and the creative space together. I think is really beautiful. But I think, sometimes if you feel stuck, which I definitely did before, it's like just do something totally different, you know? And I've met some really special people along the way.
So with working in this part of the music industry, so I've done work in other markets, but what I find to be very special in Lagos, Lagos has a very specific essence that you can't find anywhere else.
No, I know, that's what I mean. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm just like, I don't know what it is. It's just a thing.
Yeah, so you could find 15 people or 10 creatives, fly them out to wherever, any other place in the world, and then you give them all their tools and then let them work. It's fine. But if you do the same in Lagos here, what comes out is
crazy.
Yes.
Which I love. There's like a chaotic nature to it, which I think like just makes it so special. But I think also people are really living what they're doing. Yeah. Which I think is again, just really beautiful to see, like the hustle. I'm just like, I love it. Just last night, I was just thinking like, wow, there were so many talented people when we were out, you know, artists.
You went to Obi's house?
I did go to Obi's house last night.
You did?
I did, yeah. It was, do you know what? I was very well behaved. I was in my bed early because I was like, I have work tomorrow, so let me, But yeah, I was just thinking like, wow, there's so few places in the world where in one room you can have that like mass of talent.
Yeah, true.
Like,
and it's a small, in quote, it's a small city. It's big, it's large, but when it comes to the creative aspect, especially at the highest levels, everything happens within this neighborhood. Yeah. So Lekki, VI, Ikoyi, that's where the industry is domiciled.
I mean, yeah, it's insane. And also just like how it's become like the LA of Africa.
Yes.
That's what I've been saying to people as I'm like, because my mum is Sierra Leonean. Oh. And so people are like, oh, why don't you go there? And like, you know, that's where you should be making music there. And I'm like, absolutely, would love to. But like, Nigeria has just become like literally in these neighborhoods right here. I'm like, the best music in the world is coming from there right now. And sometimes you have to go to the party. It's not every day make the party come to you.
Yes. And when I'm outside the country and everyone in multiple cities, they're like, oh my God, you're Nigerian. Oh, I love the song.
I know, it's so
and
funny.
they're gushing. And I'm like, I don't rate this as much as it.
It's so funny. It's so funny. But it's also beautiful that there's so much like, there's a lot of pride here.
Yes, we do.
Which I love because I'm like, I don't think there's, obviously stay humble.
Yeah.
Have fear of God.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like you also flex. Like also, yeah, it's a sick country. It's a sick place. Like
I agree.
I'm proud to be an honorary. And yeah, so I think it's just sick to see it like reach global heights. Because when I first started like making music, I started out making like R&B with like Afro swing influences, like back in the UK with like Kojo Funds and Notes, and like that was like my early days. And I remember Burna Boy did a remix for me for Finders Keepers, and I did the opening track. It's so long ago. I did the opening track for his album Outside. Yeah. So we did like a swap, and we did them in like 2 days on this like boat studio in London. And obviously here he was already the guy, and there everybody was catching on to it. Yeah. But I remember being like, this guy is so sick. Like what? Like, come on, let's go. And then there's just nothing more satisfying than waking up one day and being like, yeah, see the world, like everybody knows now. Because sometimes great people don't win. Yeah,
back then, how was he working back then before London cut up? How was that experience?
I'm like, he's exactly the same. He's just like, again, there's like a pride, right? Yeah. In what he does, in who he is, in his music, as there should be. And yeah, so I just remember feeling like, oh yeah, you have like a powerful presence, and we had fun. We had so much fun. And his family, like me, he always has his family around him. Yeah. So for me, that was a really nice, especially like being quite early on in the industry, that was a really great experience for me, like how his family took care of me and made me feel like, which I think in African culture is it's just what you do. You take care of your friends like they're your family. Yeah. And you care for your family in a different way. Like when people hear how much time I spend with my parents, they're like, what is wrong with you? And I'm just like, because that's what I'm supposed to, like, we're supposed to now, we're getting to a point where we're going to swap. Yeah. I'm going to start taking care of them. True. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like the foundation. It's the, right, exactly. But I so remember him moving in a similar way with his family that I do with mine. And so it just feeling familiar and comfortable. So that was my like first intro to working, to working with a Nigerian artist. And I remember just being like, I have to go. And every year they would say, oh my God, you have to come. You have to come do Dirty December. And I know. And now here I come. I'm here.
So far, have you been enjoying Dirty December?
I mean, listen, I'm not, do you know what? I should have come when I was younger because I didn't get hangovers then. Now, do you know what I mean? Now I have to plan. Mm-hmm. I have to like, but no, I love it. You have to have a
refractory period.
Exactly, which I don't have. We're only here for 5 days this time because we're actually spending Christmas with our families back at home.
5 days in there.
I know, it's insane. So it's like back to back. Yeah. Although I've never managed to come here and it not be back to back. Even if you give yourself 10 days, 2 weeks, there's always something.
Yeah, there's always something here.
And then there's always traffic.
Yes.
That's the only thing. Other than that, I'm like, I could live here.
And this particular December, I know you have to see family, but industry-wise, work-wise, what are you trying to achieve?
I think what's really important for me is just like, as I said before, like there's so much more than the markets that like I think I've been focused on for so long. Yeah. And it was important to me, like when I first came back to like, okay, I want to make music for myself again. I sort of did research on myself and I was like, when was the times that I really felt like myself? And it was back when I was mixing my R&B top lines with like Afro swing and Afrobeats, like influences, more just like rhythms. And like, I wouldn't say I've ever made Afrobeats. I love it, but I would say like I'm mixed. And so my music is too. And I think when I've hit a sweet spot with things is when I've managed to take all my cultures and make them into this thing that's like unapologetically me. And so it felt important to come here because I was like, there's a side of me that I need to like honor through my music, I think. And so I came here and I worked with some amazing people, and then have started sort of long-term relationships in terms of like, creative long-term relationships that I will nurture forever. Magic Sticks being one of them. We have the best time. I saw him today, actually.
Beautiful. I remember working at Universal then, and I met a lady. One day I popped into the office and I saw a lady seated there in the lounge, and I asked, "Hello, hi," and like, she's like, "Yeah, I work in music." I'm like, "Yeah, clearly."
You're at Universal.
I'm like, "Who do you work with?" And she's like, "Mabel."
Really?
Yeah, that's the first time I ever had Mabel.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so cute. I'm trying to think who that would have been and when that would have been.
Yeah, think about 2018, 2019, just before the pandemic.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
You get it?
That's so interesting. Yeah, no, I think like there's been connections to here for a long time. Like I have so many friends from here, and then it just made sense. Like when I was sort of resetting myself musically to be like, well, let me go and like, I'm not coming over here to make Afrobeats or by any means now like be an Afrobeats artist. I think what I want to do is like do what I do over some of the influences and just try and like take that like frequency, that energy, that like source that we were talking about that Lagos just has, was like important for me to like try and get into the music.
True. And I hear you're working with Charlie Poppy.
We've been doing stuff. Do you know what's so interesting? We FaceTime, and he'll play me stuff, and then I'll play him stuff, and we send things back and forth. We've done a few things together. He's so talented. I love him.
Yes, he is.
I'm obsessed with him. I am hopefully gonna go and link him tomorrow. We're both very chaotic. Yeah. So it takes us a long time to finish stuff. But yeah, we've been making music and it's been so fun. Even just like remotely, you know, sometimes like you'll work with artists and like you don't actually really connect. And you would think like because we've never actually been able to meet that we wouldn't, but like he really takes the time to like, he's like me. It's like, well, we're either like gonna be friends and we're actually cool with each other and do you know what I mean? Or like there's no fake stuff going on, which is also why I love it here. Because I'm just like, I know that you actually mess with me because you wouldn't be nobody can tell you need to work with this girl. At all. Do you know what I mean? At all. I love that. At all. So yeah, we've been working together. And then I've been working with some Ghanaian artists as well, with Black Sheriff. Yeah, I love your record with Black Sheriff. That's like one of my favorite verses I've ever written. My pen was sharp that day. And then with King Promise as well. Yeah. So we've been another one of those relationships that again just feels like organic and natural, and I'm really excited about that. So that's like me, Magic Sticks, King Promise, and we're back. What I'm really concerned about, especially when you intersect with other cultures in creatively, how do you find that sweet spot that is uniquely you? Contains all the things you want to say, all the things that represent you and your direction, but still honor a culture that is primarily foreign, but it does present exciting opportunities in terms of the work you can make and the magic that comes out from interacting with it. I think like I carry me with me everywhere I go. And so what I'm going to bring to the beats wherever I am in the world, like, because I have done that work on myself and within just like, I guess, knowing myself better, that like I take that with me everywhere I go. Yeah. And I'll always be very honest with myself about whether like, do I feel like this is me? Because you can make an amazing song, but still be like, well, I don't feel like that's me. Is it important that you have to feel that? Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I think it's beautiful to let people in on the journey as well, though. I think like you don't have to get it right every time. And sometimes afterwards you can be like, okay, maybe I got that a little bit wrong. And like I went too much this way, or I didn't lean into this enough. But I don't think that there's anything wrong with people seeing like where you've been and to join you on that journey. I think like I've done lots of stuff that hasn't been amazing. But I've also done stuff that's been amazing, and I know like I'll continue to make amazing things. That's a certain level of self-confidence. I don't know. know. I'm just like, I feel like
and it's beautiful to see, to experience, to see, and to hear.
Yeah, I feel like definitely it's always different when you go to like a different culture, and I think maybe it's taken some time for me to figure out how do I get all these different parts of me into music, into one song. I don't know if it's possible to do all of it on one song. That's like my goal, is like, how do I get all these different parts of me into one record? But I think that there's nothing wrong with, while I'm trying to figure it out, just dropping music for people, like working with talented people, collaborating, and just being like, okay, cool, I like this now. That's one thing I would say, like, I want to be releasing music more regularly. I think still there's like an overthinking thing.
I get you. And I do understand you. Afrobeats has, within the last, so your interaction with Afrobeats, I know you worked with Bonner long ago, even before we all knew what it was. But what do you think about like the global rise of it?
I mean,
and how it's become so entrenched at the highest levels?
Well, I think, again, like, you know how I said, like, I need to switch up my vibe sometimes. And like, I think the world has been ready finally to, like, I guess, again, it's like, it's that thing of the slots. Like,
True.
There's always been amazing music coming from here, but sometimes it's just about timing, right?
Yeah.
For things to turn, and then all of a sudden everybody's looking, like, even the UK for so long, it was all about American artists, and then I feel like
you guys had that phase too,
particularly for R&B, like there was nobody looking at like rap and R&B, and then I remember like seeing like Skepta at Coachella and being like, wow, this is crazy, like Americans are listening to British rap. And it's just like, it's just timing sometimes, but also like Africans are everywhere, and there's so many of us that are mixed, and it's such a huge part of the world that like it was only a matter of time, I think, before finally that was going to be able to like reach its heights. But yeah, I mean, nothing makes me happier than like seeing like Afrobeats, I guess, reach certain heights, and I'm like, I want it to continue to do so. And I think seeing more like cross collaboration, I think, is like really important and really interesting as well, so that like I think that's how genres like evolve and grow as well, is like stepping outside of your comfort zone. And like I remember when I first started working with Magix, he was like, what are we going to do together? And I was like, trust me, you just do what you do and I'm going to do what I do. And then literally afterwards he was like, that was so sick. That was like one of the most amazing sessions, because it just was different.
But why Magix? Why did you find, what do you think about him that gave you that connection?
I always think, again, it's one of those frequency things where it's just like, I worked with a few people. I worked with Dara as well. He's amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's just one of those things that you're not going to know until you're in the room, which is what I always say to A&Rs. They're like, do you want to work with this person? Do you want to work with that person? And I'm like, I mean, we can meet up and see like how we vibe. I always just think that if you enjoy spending time together, the songs will come.
Yeah.
Like they'll come.
True.
But you have to be able to be like, this was worth 10 hours sitting in a room with this person, even if we were just busting joke.
Yeah. That blows my mind.
Really?
Yeah, it does. Because a lot of people would like to force things.
Yeah, and it's never, I'm just like, no.
Especially when there's a lot of like interests involved in the work.
100%. I think people tried to do it for so long with me, and I just was like, and then I came here and started working with people, and then things just fall into place. Like, I saw Shally Poppy had messaged me, and like, and it's like, okay, just following this like gut instinct and just being like, okay, I'm going to be in the room with people that like, I actually just enjoy spending time. Like the other stuff is going to come, but like, do we actually vibe with each other?
And that's the difference between music and a lot of other fields.
True.
So I used to work in academia.
Yeah.
So I used to work for a company called the Conversations out of South Africa. And so what I did for them then was I found, commissioned, helped with edited Africa-focused research. So no matter the universe that you're in, you might be in Brazil or wherever, as long as you're doing work that benefits this market, then we would reach out to you. And I discovered that while doing that, and I talking to academics, doctors, and professors, I discovered a lot of people, and this is just a microcosm of a bigger situation. A lot of people didn't really enjoy their work.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and so every time I'm in academia, and I'm talking to doctors and professors and doing the work, and it almost felt like the work has very limited soul in it. But with music, and then when I shut down for the day and I go back into the industry, I'm like, oh, I want to be in the studio with this person because there's a project we're working on. And there's a huge focus on two humans connecting with each other as the basis for all of the magic that happens.
But I'm just like, you can't force that. And still,
have you ever forced it?
So many times, yeah.
Why?
Many times. Because people are like, oh, like before, they'd be like, oh, you need to work with this person. They've done this. I think this is really good. And then you go in the room with them and you're just like, well, we have nothing to talk about. We don't vibe. But also, like, I guess I've got to get a song. Like I used to feel that way. And now I'm just like, so nice to meet you. You're really talented. But like, I'm just not like, I'm not feeling that we're matching. And usually if you're feeling stressed and anxious, they are too. And so you can just be like, let's just call it. Thank you so much. Enjoy. And like, that's it. And you can just leave and that's fine.
Beautiful. I think I'd have that written down somewhere. I have that written. If I don't feel you, no dice.
Literally though, I'm just like, and it's cool. And then usually the other person's like, like, as well. And then you're just like, okay, great. Have a great day. Bye.
Beautiful. This has been such a great conversation.
Thank you so much.
But thank you too, because I'm having so much fun. I don't want it to end.
It's been so good.
But just before we go, we've spoken about a lot of things that you've gracefully shared. Growing up, being a part of a household that has music connected to it on a professional level, intersecting with this market, finding yourself amidst all the chaos that's happening, and what that means as a person, not even as a creative, as a musician, as a person who also does music. And I'm wondering, how does it all come together for you when you boil it down to its bare bones? What do you keep for yourself? What goes home with you? What stays with you when all of this disappears?
So, I mean, there's so many things, but like family, music, connection, I would say as well. Like, I think that's the most important thing that like I take with me everywhere. Is like, I think you can like learn something. And I think when you start losing is when you think that you know everything. So I think just like trying to take every connection and every person I meet and every experience as some kind of lesson, I guess.
That you're looking to learn?
Always looking to learn. I love to learn.
Okay. Thank you. This is way different. People usually talk about service to humanity, service to the culture.
No. I'm like, no, I just want to learn from people. And yeah.
Okay. Your curiosity.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is a wrap, guys.